much time, I would kindly call on our national president, Honorable Dr. in View, Stephen Eduyabwa, to give us the welcome address. Tell us why we are here. So, Zido, please, if you're around, you have the floor.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Amika. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Ghana to China, Mr. Chairman, dignitaries from the Embassy, China, patrons of NUGS-CHINA, our special guest speakers and panelists, presenters, NUGS Council Board, current and former senators, current and former NEC officers, executives of the various chapters of this union, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. You're all warmly welcome to the NUGS-CHINA 5th Afba and AEA International Conference 2024. The Africa Beyond Aid, Afba, and Academic Excellence Awards, AEA 2024, is an international academic and research conference organized by the National Union of Ghana Students, China. Afba was established in 2020 to provide a fund for the national development of our dear mother country, Ghana, and Africa at large. The Academic Excellence Award, AEA, is the highest academic honor conferred by the National Union of Ghana Students, China, that's NUGS-CHINA. It is also established in 2020 to reward members for their outstanding academic performance. This year's conference begins today, 1st to 3rd of May. Some thematic areas of interest in the conference included but are not limited to economics and finance, e-commerce, technology and artificial intelligence, environment and agriculture, manufacturing and engineering. The organization of this year's International Academic and Research Conference has provided an avenue for scholars from all disciplines from Africa and the world at large to share their research findings related to Africa and Ghana in particular, whether they have published publications or research work in progress. This year's conference has brought seasoned professors, accomplished academics, and experts in education to share insightful pieces with us all. I welcome you once again to the NUGS-CHINA 5th Afba and AEA International Conference 2024. Long live Afba, long live AEA, long live NUGS-CHINA, long live Motherland Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zido, for giving us that quick and brief introduction. Thank you so much. I think that will be a cue for all of us who will be coming to present to stay within our time. Thank you so much, Zido, for doing that honest for us. I think I'll zoom straight to Mr. Bright, who happens to be part of the academic committee and also the chair for that segment. Yeah, I can see you already laughing and smiling. I love that already. So you're going to tell us, or you're going to give us the theme for this year's Afba and AEA e-conference. So please, if you're ready, we are ready for you. Please carry on. I think your mic is muted.
Can I be heard?
Sure. Yes, you can be heard, please.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce the conference team, and I know that you are much anticipated to enjoy whatever you do for the next 3 days. Thank you very much. So good evening, brothers and sisters, both far and near. Kindly permit me to rely on the already established protocols and then the delivery by our president, the introductory statement. I am Bright J, a Ghanaian student in China and chairman of NUGS-CHINA Academic Committee. So our committee, under the instructions of the NUGS-CHINA National Executive Committee has been given the assignment of putting together this 5th Africa's Future Beyond Aid International Conference and the NUGS-CHINA Excellence Awards. So the progression of Afba Conference and AEA series has been steady, with this year's version adding to the story since its inaugural edition back in the year 2020, as my president rightly said. Whilst Afba is an annual academic and research conference known for providing a platform to scholars from different or diverse disciplines with a keen interest in matters concerning Africa's development, AEA also focuses on recognizing individuals' roles played to encourage others to contribute their bits when the opportunity falls due. Looking back at the proceedings of the 3rd and 4th editions in the year 2022 and 2023, respectively, the link between Afba and African Continental Free Trade Agreement has been established. Our continent is blessed, we know, with so much resources that humanity needs. Yet, the question of how to leverage these resources to the benefit of all has always been on the front burner. This phenomenon calls for proper capacity building for everyone. This is what has teased out this year's conference theme, harnessing capabilities for sustainable development. So with this platform, an opportunity is created for us all to learn about strategic utilization of Africans' potentials and pave way for sustainable development. So harnessing capabilities is about maximizing the potentials of individuals by identifying and leveraging their inherent strengths and resources to achieve the desired outcomes for Africa's development. So it requires proactive leadership, strategic thinking, continuous learning, and adaptation so that we can thrive in dynamic and complex environments. As we have come to be part of this conference, let us all acquire new knowledge, improve our existing skills, build positive supportive networks, develop a growth mindset so we can adapt to changing circumstances and overcome obstacles together. Growth, social cohesion, and human well-being. Sustainable development requires a collective action, collaboration, and commitment from governments, civil society, private sector, and international partners. So in line of achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we all know that Africa has a role to play. So let us start from learning to exist beyond aid. So this conference will therefore touch thematic areas, as Mr. President already said, so that we'll learn about ways of harnessing capabilities for sustainable development in Africa. And these areas have already been mentioned. You have the economics, the finance or e-commerce, you have technology, artificial intelligence, environment, agriculture, manufacturing, and engineering. So presentations and discussions from our distinguished speakers and researchers on the theme and the key thematic areas will demonstrate viable strategies for harnessing capabilities geared towards fostering sustainable development across Africa. So let us all take this as another appointment with destiny and learn something good from here. Thank you very much for attending and have a fruitful experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Chairman, for the Academic Committee Board. That was brief also and straight to the point. I really love that. Thank you so much for respecting our time. Fortunately for us, I think I'll still zoom into action. I was actually prompted that I needed to introduce myself. So my name is Dr. Geoffrey Bentu Maika. I happen to be an assistant professor in one of the schools here in Jinhua and also a postdoctoral fellow. And I'll be your honorable MC for the whole of this week. So you'll be seeing this space more often. So thank you for having me as well. At this point, we are joined. Oh, and I'll be co-emceeing with another wonderful madam. I don't know if she's in here with us, Dr. Millicent Selassie Afenya. Doc, are you here? Doc, are you here, please? Dr. Afenya, please, are you here? Okay, I think she's not here, but then she'll be joining us hopefully very soon. Once she's on board, I'll please introduce her. And without much ado, we are blessed to have correspondents from the embassy here in Beijing joining us. And we are fortunate to have the head and Minister of Chancery, Honorable John Kwesi Boakye, here with us. He is also being supported by the Honorable Francis Yao Opoku, who also happens to be holding a portfolio in the office. But before I please proceed, we want to take a key message from the embassy. So I'll please call on Mr. John Kwesi Boakye, if you're ready. We would love to hear from you and the message from the embassy. So, sir, if you're here, please, we are ready for you.
Good evening. This is Francis Yaopoko from the embassy. Please, Mr. Boakye, the minister, is having some challenges, so he will be with us in a few minutes. So I will indulge your indulgence if maybe the next program can, the next person can take over the program so that you come after him. Thank you.
You're very much welcome, sir. So I think we'll proceed as we wait for him. Thank you so much from media team. All right, so I think we are just delving directly into another important aspect of the program, and to help us do that, I mean, I don't want to take the wind out of her sail. I'll please invite our very own Vice President, Honorable Lady President, Patience, please, are you here? Our National Vice President. Madam Patience, please, are you available?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So you are pleased on now, and you are going to tell us who is going to be steering the affair of this very Afba and then the AEA Awards. So please, if you're ready, we are ready for you as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jeffrey Bentham.
You're welcome.
So I am very much honored to be the one to introduce a person who is going to steer the affairs of this Afba for 3 consecutive days. He's starting from today till Friday when we will run up. He has a lot of work to do, and we appreciate the fact that he has accepted this invitation and is ready to dedicate his time for us for 3 days. The chairman is no other person but our very own. He has been an alumni of NUGS-CHINA. He has served in several portfolios in NUGS-CHINA. And that person is Professor Benjamin Kluger-Brown, which I'm sure a lot of people have been able to or had the privilege to interact with him in the past. And we are also privileged to have him on board now. He is currently a distinguished associate professor at the School of Life Science and Technology, Brain Connectivity Lab, specifically at the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, USTC. He actually obtained his master's degree, that is in computer science and technology, and PhD biomedical engineering, brain imaging, dynamic functional network connectivity degree from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. That's in 2015 and 2018, respectively. And he has worked on neurological diseases as such, epilepsy, schizophrenia, and depression during his PhD studies. He is working in the field of brain connectivity, and his main research interests include brain connectivity in neurological and psychiatric disorders, which includes addiction, Alzheimer's disease, schizophrenia, and others, using data analytic methods from resting state and neuroimaging data and the various task conditions. In fact, he was also the president for NUGS-CHINA chapter in 2014, 2015 academic year, and he became the chairman for the judicial committee in 2 consecutive years. He has had several achievements, and he's an alumnus of UST and became the first alumnus of UST to secure a faculty position in the School of Life Science and Technology. He is also recognized as an outstanding international student at the School of Life. That is 2015-2018. He also secured the NS research grant for foreign young scientists, and he is a recipient of this category at the University of Electronic Science and Technology. He has also received recognition for 5 foreign talents in Sichuan. And we are not talking about anybody from any other country, but our very own motherland. This is a Ghanaian who has achieved so much that we have. So we are privileged to have Professor Benjamin Brown to be our chairman for Afba 2024. So with a round of applause, let's welcome our Professor Benjamin Kluger-Brown to deliver his keynote speech as part of this event. Thank you so much. You are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pat, for this elaborate introduction. Yes, and I really appreciate your introduction, and I'm also glad that I'm joining my own family to assist in this 3-day all-important conference. If you can hear me clearly, just let me know.
Yes, please, Prof. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. So first of all, I, as a chairman, I've accepted to be the chairman and also a keynote speaker. So I have 2 things to do today. So first, I would like to just go straight to the point here that we all know that the continent is overflowing with promises such as youthfulness, energetic population, and wealth of natural resource. We also know that Africa boasts of not only the fertile land, but also hidden treasures and also brilliant minds. So that means that apart from the resources that we also have human resources that we can combine to improve the continent or to move the continent beyond aid. I just want to remind you that it's been far too long that the narrative surrounding Africa has centered on external support, which can be good or bad. So today, what we shall see is we want to highlight the potentials that will show how we can unlock these important things from Africa. And this is being led by scholars and experts. You know, in our continent, we have scholarly activities, and then we have policies that are generated from politics and other things. But today we want to show that indeed we can tap from the academics, we can tap from our scholars, and the advice that they will give to us will be something that we can stand upon to improve the continent. So I have prepared a short PPT that I will discuss with you. And then after that, we will see the other speakers, how they will deliver. So I will, if you can allow me to share my PPT. Am I allowed to share my PPT? Okay. Please, can you all see?
Yes, please,
Yes,
we can see.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. So I've been introduced already, so I don't need any introduction. So I will jump straight to the point. First, I want us all to remember this, that Africa, future beyond aid. But the word aid, especially when we talk about aid, we are talking about foreign aid. What is it? We know that this aid can come from various aspects: loan grants, food, even services or expertise that can provide any social services for us, and also help in growing countries that hope to develop in the near future. So if you look at this definition clearly, the question that we'll ask is that, does it sound so good to us? Is it good or is it bad? So I will carefully go through this PPT or go through this presentation for us to even imagine, to think whether indeed it's time for Africa to move beyond this foreign aid or the aids that have been provided by our foreign friends. Let's look at this map carefully. It's been projected that by 2040, Africa will have some of the big cities in the world. So can we use these data, or can we use this projection to our advantage? So the question is that, if we know that Africa will be having, in 2040, Africa will grow, some cities will become well known, and these cities that will be growing will attract investment, will attract development, then can we use this idea to propel us into developing our continent? Now, let's look at another fact. This I put from on the internet. I know all of you are aware of this. This is no secret. That apart from the scholarly advantages that we also have natural resources. So the question that we'll ask ourselves is that, from all these natural resources that we have, is it time for us to move beyond accepting tokens from other countries or other continents? In fact, some of these resources that we have can be something that we can use to bargain. It's a bargaining power. So we will look at the following ideas. First, it's been projected that by 2100, Africa will have one of the largest youthful workforce in the world. And this projection has been increasing since 1950. What does this tell us? This tells us that Africa has the potential in terms of its human capacity. As youth, we are having the strength and we're having the fresh mind to improve the continent. So this is a real data that we can use to our advantage. This tells us that, yes, maybe indeed, we can move beyond aid. Another thing here that we can look at is this: resource transformation. So as we have already seen, we have natural resources, and yet we are waiting for aids from our international or our foreign friends. But then, one thing that I would like you to note is this: our resources largely is unprocessed. Here we can see that if any country or if any nation depend only on natural resources or the raw materials, that country or that nation is bound to fail. Because for people to consume or for people to appreciate what you have, you need to transform them into something that can be used. So as you can see in this graph, it shows that 30% of everything that we use today is from Africa. So what do? We need to transform this into something that can be used. Then the next thing is that if we have this, what can we do? So then we need to shift the narrative. Sometimes most of the things that we are doing or we are expecting is from our own mind. We think that Africa is not capable of doing or handling its own resources, but that is not true. From these 3 slides that I've shown, it shows that every negative thing that we think about Africa is not true. It means that truly we are capable of moving beyond aid. So what do? We need to tell our story through data. We need to tell our story through data. So if you tell your story through data, people will now believe what you are saying. And I put on this slide just to show that scholars or researchers or experts can share their story through the data that they collect or through presentations such as what we are going to do today. The next thing is that, so what can a scholar from Africa do to change this narrative? First, we can focus on Africa's special need. I have a very strong belief that the reason why we still think that we need aid is because most of the things that we want to solve in Africa, or most of the aid that we get from Africa, is not locally important. So we should shift the focus from replicating Western models in Africa's unique challenges and opportunities. The next thing is that indigenous knowledge system integration. So what do I mean by this? We have to integrate traditional knowledge and practice with modern scientific method for sustainable solutions. If you take China as an example, China has moved beyond certain barriers, but its development is highly tied to its cultural understanding. So it means that for you to move beyond anything, any obstacle, you need to link it to the cultural mindset of the people. The next one is that innovation for local problems. So as I've said, we encouraging researchers such as yourself to tackle local challenges like food security, water management, health, renewable energy, that is locally based. So we solve our problems locally, but not replicating Western models. I'm not saying that Western models are bad, but most of the models that they use to develop their country is local. And when we look at the cultural base or local base, we are totally different in terms of development. The next one that I would like you to look at quickly is that as scholars, this conference resonates the first point, open access publishing. So what do we do? If we have some idea, we need to promote open access publishing in the research that we have. So Afba is an important platform for this. The next thing is that mentorship and training. So I've seen that NUGS-CHINA has always opened a platform for people to improve their soft skills. What this means is that by the time that somebody grows to a certain age or somebody moves to a certain area or step, the person has the tools to transform the things that he or she wants to transform in the community. The next is that collaborating with local communities. I can see that most of the aid that we have, in my opinion, are not locally tied. So what we should do is that we engage with local communities to understand their needs, such as research. So we go into our local communities, we know their problem, and then we tackle the problem head on. The last part, which I would like you to look at, is that we need partnership and then resource mobilization. Okay, so African countries should have this partnership among themselves in terms of academics. The next part is that we have public-private partnership. So you have your idea as an academician or as a scholar. How do you transform this into something that can be used? You need to partner with all those people in the field already. So you can have an idea, the idea is in your mind, but you cannot transform it because you don't have the platform to transform your idea into something that can be used. Okay. The next one is that, such as what we are doing. For example, I am working in China and somebody is also working elsewhere. So we need to engage people from the diaspora in bridging the gap and then leveraging their expertise. The fourth part that I want you to look at here is building sustainable institutions. So if we want to move beyond aid, we need to build institutions that can propel this idea or that can propel this initiative. So we advocate for increasing funding and resources for African universities to improve research and infrastructure and attract top talent such as yourself. The next part is that research network and centers. What do? We establish strong research networks. So we all encourage that as experts in other fields, many other fields, such as what you are doing, we can build this network or laboratories or research centers that can focus its attention on Africa's development. The next one is that promoting academic freedom. Here, what do I mean by that? To advocate academic freedom to ensure research is conducted without undue external influence. So many times, some of the information that we have to spread to our African neighbors is being blocked by some external sources. Why is this? Because we've seen that anytime Africa wants to improve, anytime Africa wants to move beyond a certain level, we see external influences blocking this. So we need to have a strong collaboration and ensure that all the researches that we do are out there for Africans to use. The last one here is policy advocacy and public discussion or discourse. So evidence-based policy making. So we need to make sure that as academicians or as scholars, we guide these policies that are being generated or are being written in the African continent or in the countries in Africa. What do I mean by that? We use research findings to inform policies decision and advocate for policies that promote economic growth and development. So we don't design policies or we don't make policies just from the thin air, but from experts in academic field. Public education and awareness. So here, what do I mean? We engage in public discourse to raise awareness. So if you don't know that Africa has the potential, or if you don't know that by 2050 or by 2040, Africa will be having one of the biggest youthful population and then development all over the world. If you don't have this information, you may think that there is no hope for Africa. So we need to educate our people, such as what we are doing. Then the next thing is that we need to challenge the narrative. So if we see that external sources or external influences are throwing dust in the eyes of the people about Africa, we need to challenge this. How do we challenge this? We need to show that we can develop our countries, or we can develop the continent by ourselves. This is how we can challenge the narrative that has been there for many years. So in brief, what do I mean by all this? African scholars can play a pivotal role in driving Africa's journey towards self-reliance and sustainable development. What it means here is that our expertise or our capabilities and innovative spirit will be key to unlocking Africa's full potential. Through what? Through research and data sharing. So as we shall see today, people have conducted research and they want to tell us that indeed there are certain points in Africa, or there are certain things in Africa or in the various countries in Africa that we can show to others. And this will give the idea that we can move beyond aid. So I would like you to be ready for the speakers. And you will see that everything that I've talked about here will be evident in whatever they will deliver to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that in-depth, profound, I don't know which ways to actually describe it, but it's been insightful to us. Thank you so much, Prof, for that. For reminding us that we need to think locally whilst expecting things to be done on the global front, and doing that through research and data sharing to unlocking our sustainable development as Africans. Thank you so much, Prof. Please, we are kindly being reminded that if you're a participant here, if you're participating here, NUGS in its benevolence is going to give us certificates. So kindly use your full names in the sections, and so that we can give you certificates tailored to your names, not to make typo errors when writing your names. Also, we would please beg that if you are not speaking, you kindly mute your mics so that it wouldn't cause any form of interference to the ones who would be speaking at that particular point in time. All right, so thank you so much, Prof, once again for that speech. I'm told that our reps from the embassy are ready. So if they are ready, we please call on Mr. John Kwesi to give us a speech from the embassy. So, sir, if you are ready, we are ready for you.
Hello, good evening. Hello?
Hello, good evening, Mr. Boache. Yes, Mr. Boache, we can hear you.
All right. Distinguished guests, beloved students, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Kwesi Boache. I'm here this evening to represent His Excellency Dr. Winfred Ni Okai Hammond, the Ambassador of the Republic of Ghana to China, who was to be with us on this auspicious occasion, but could not make it because of prior engagement. I am to speak to the topic, Africa's Future Beyond Aid, Harnessing Capabilities for Sustainable Development, a subject which I believe is of enormous significance on our African continent development, as well as the sustainability of that very development. Before I proceed, kindly permit me to express the embassy's appreciation and the commendation to the NUGS-CHINA for always conceiving of innovative ideas which are geared towards complementing Ghana's effort at ensuring development and creating awareness among Ghanaian diaspora, especially students in China, regarding the need for personal development, as well as contributing to improving the economic fortune of our dear country, as well as and the African continent in general. The theme for this occasion, I believe, couldn't have been more appropriate, considering the increasing global challenges and the need for self-introspection and the fashioning out of homegrown policies for independent Africa, as well as the quest for sustainable development for the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, economic dependency has largely been the bane of the continent's forward march to economic emancipation, independence, and sustainable development. Almost all development projects in Africa, I must say, are supported by funds and sometimes the benevolence of the West or developed countries, not to speak of the budget support the continent have been receiving from our so-called developed partners. What is worrying is that the over-reliance on the support of the West weakens Africans' ability to defend its sovereignty against encroachment by those with deep pockets. It is therefore not unusual for some Western donors to use their influence over African government to their national and geopolitical advantage. Over-reliance on aid definitely questions Africa's dependency and neo-colonial status. Our ability to achieve sustainable development is therefore curtailed. How do we go beyond a relationship based on dependency and aid to one that exploits the opportunities and potentials for independent Africa? Does Africa have all the potentials to leverage on our resources and build a strong, resilient society? African countries should therefore work to get out of aid and have a demonstration effect, one of which is sustainable development. Pursuing a path to sustainably developed Africa would require high and efficient investment in infrastructure, education and skills, scientific and technological capability, which in turn require policies and institutions to significantly raise domestic value, domestic revenue and saving, attract foreign investment, and create an environment where business thrives. We must therefore strengthen our democratic institution and improve our governance at all levels, and perhaps more importantly, pursue an agenda of private sector-led growth, that is, tapping into the entrepreneurial spirit that is manifest across the continent. An important part of this agenda will be driven by Africans for Africa. Africa's greatest potential asset is youth. The population of those younger than 25 years is set to be more than double by 2050. By providing these individuals with the tools to contribute to a modern economy, the continent is expected to witness an unprecedented increase in productivity and inclusive growth. Quality education will be key in unlocking this potential. The aforementioned may not on their own lead to Africa's economic independence and sustainable development. The need for a paradigm shift in attitude, behavior, and mindset from one of dependency to one of achieving our destiny in order to successfully pursue the agenda would be worthwhile. Ladies and gentlemen, sustainable development requires Africans to be in charge of their own affairs and make the continent truly independent. Resilience on donors, which make Africa less susceptible to the vicissitudes of donor support, will be invariably reduced and move the continent gradually towards sustainable development. For sustainable development, especially in the African continent, there is a need for a new development trajectory. It is indeed incumbent on Africans to harness their rich resources and deploy them creatively and efficiently for the rapid economic and social transformation. This, I believe, would require hard work, enterprise, and creativity and consistent fight against corruption in public life. It also requires that we break away from the mentality of dependency and adopt a confident and can-do spirit for the love of the continent. Africans cannot therefore subordinate the common good to build a prosperous continent and achieve sustainable development to the self-interest of a few. Guided by the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the AU's Agenda 2063, Africa must ramp up efforts and harness the full potential of trade and industrialization to advance sustainable development, inclusive growth. The achievement of the AU vis-a-vis the aims for its establishment, I must say, has been work in progress. With the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area, that's AFTA, Africa's aim of achieving economic emancipation and managing its own affairs is making some strides. AFTA is a testament to the commitment of African continent to self-sufficiency and sustainable development. It has been anticipated that in the decade, 250 million people in Africa will move to urban areas. There will be a young, rapidly growing urban market for both consumers and industrial goods. The AFTA, if properly managed, is expected to cover a market of 1.2 billion people and a combined GDP of $2.5 trillion. By eliminating high tariffs and harmonizing multitude of trade and investment regimes, would enhance intra-trade by 52.3% annually, according to UNECA. And those will have an enormous impact on job creation across the continent. Owing to this demography and reforms taking place in much of African continent, economic emancipation and the positive move to sustainable development in Africa is imminent. Reportedly, Africa currently contributes about 3% to global trade, an economically insignificant situation which could be improved by the removal of trade barriers and inconsistent policies. By the implementation of coherent domestic policies, African leaders can achieve a robust economy and their nations to the path of sustainable development. The AfCFTA is therefore a significant milestone in this endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, across Africa, agriculture is the predominant sector in the economies of most countries, accounting for about between 30 to 40% of gross domestic product. And the sector is a leading source of jobs for over 2/3 of Africa's population. A country's economic, environmental, and social well-being is intricately linked to healthy, well-performing agricultural sector. Increasing investment in the farm economy can deliver high-impact development returns, such as increasing rural incomes, boosting food security, making cheap and more nutritious food available to Africa's bustling cities, and protecting the environment through innovations such as climate-smart agriculture. All in aggregate are pivotal to achieving sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of converging and coupling artificial intelligence, 5th generation cellular, that's 5G, big data analytics, cyber security, to mention but a few, has been touted to be the next revolutionary technologies. If applied correctly, the synergy and technologies mentioned above are poised to unravel, transform, and yield unparalleled economic efficiency and productivity globally across various sectors. It is pertinent to underscore that each of the technologies has an enormous impact as a standalone in various industries or sectors across Africa. But when appropriately and properly combined, the technologies will create an array of opportunities, hugely impacting all sectors of Africa and global economy. Cooperation arrangements, ladies and gentlemen, aimed at tactically introducing and applying these technologies in Africa's multi-sectoral economy will be a game changer in the quest for Africans' sustainable development. Much as Africa must take the lead in creating its future, there is much that the international community and the West particularly must do to help bring about the realization of an independent and sustainably developed Africa. The benefit of Africa's demography for consumer producers and investments notwithstanding, the demographic peril of the continent is to be feared. It is a future of stagnant growth, overcrowding, strained infrastructure, chronic joblessness, displaced population, massive economic migration, and natural resource degradation. The developed countries need to do their best to ensure that we together avoid the pernicious outcomes and usher in a prosperous Africa, which means a prosperous world of sustainable development. To help Africa move towards sustainable development, the developed countries are expected to maintain a global system that encourages good governance, free trade, open investment regimes, and a flexible immigration policy. Africa could only survive beyond aid and achieve sustainable development only under a hospitable environment. Whilst there is optimism that independent Africa without over-reliance on aid for survival will thrive under the spirit of mutual cooperation, understanding, and respect between Africa and the West, it is also incumbent upon Africans to put their destiny into their own hands and endeavor to pursue productive cooperative policies among themselves aimed at achieving sustainable development. One cannot successfully pursue the foregoing without deliberating on problems and setbacks therefrom. Externally, some misguided elements will continue to see the whole process and idea of Africa's economic independence and self-sufficiency leading to sustainable development as a pan-African propaganda, and therefore use their might and power to make it unworkable. Awareness of these threats is therefore important. This should therefore not stop the continent from pursuing the agenda. It adds to the knowledge that no good efforts come from Africa with the external and internal saboteurs trying to wreck it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe with the wealth of resource persons assembled here this evening, we are optimistic of the success of this laudable program and the impact it is likely to have on participants, our country, and the African continent in general. The Embassy of Ghana in Beijing wishes you all a fruitful program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boache, for reminding us of the impact of this program on the general continent and then individuals gathered here therein. Thank you so much, sir, for that speech. That was awesome. I think at this point, we are pleased being reminded, if we are in positions where it's conducive for us, if we can put on our mics, our videos, we want to make this program as interactive as possible. So please, we want to see your beautiful and handsome faces like that of our president. So please, we are being encouraged, to put on our videos if possible in the positions we find ourselves, so that we can try to interact with ourselves as well. We want to see your beautiful and handsome faces, please. Without much ado, I think we've gotten to yet another important segment of the program. And to do us the honors is to introduce us to the guest speaker for tonight. I think he's no stranger to most of us. I call him my brother and my neighbor personally. And to do us that honors is our secretary for the academic committee. So Madam Gertrude, if you are please here, kindly introduce our guest speaker for tonight.
Please, can I be heard?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. MC. My name is Gertrude Stella Figosu, Secretary of the Academic Committee. Our guest speaker for today is the Corporate Strategist and President of Global Organization of African Academic Doctors, Nairobi, Kenya. He is a lecturer of University of Nigeria. He is also the Vice President of Asia-Africa Alliance of Learning Organization. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you Dr. Odi Elijah. Dr. Odi Elijah.
Kindly put on your videos and then let's show our guest speaker some love, please.
Thank you very much. It's a joy to be part of this meeting today. And I want to thank everyone who is attending at this time and for others that will be joining us subsequently. I am also very much excited to be part of the meeting again this year. From the inception of Afba, this being the 5th time I've been part of the conversation. Thank you very much, my brother, my neighbor, Jeffrey. And also thanking the leaders of NUGS-CHINA for inviting me once again to be part of the conversation. And I also appreciate very much the content shared by our brother, Kwasi Boache, who has laid very good foundation for the conversation. I also want to appreciate all the panelists and other speakers that have been invited to speak to us today, as well as the officials and staff of the Embassy of Ghana in China. So that said, I will just go right away to sharing my thoughts on the topic that we have been given, which we are handling today, it's of extreme importance. And in the brief message I put out just a few minutes ago, and also in the mobilization I've made to help people to be part of this conversation, I made an emphasis that in the jungle, there is no rehearsal, there is no drama, there is no preparation. Everything that happens in the jungle is real. Every moment, a living thing is alive. And of course, the earth where we live itself is a kind of jungle. And everything that happens there is real. And standing on the foundation already laid by our brother Bake, it's I will not go on the basics which he has communicated. I will just go straight to make the emphasis in the areas that I see in connection with harnessing capabilities, because the implication indeed is that in the jungle, if any human being or any animal or any entity is not able to harness its own capabilities to pursue its survival, it will surely die on that day. So when we talk about harnessing our capabilities, now paying attention to Africa, it's a call to ensure that everyone who is African, and indeed everyone who is human, must pay specific attention to doing one of three things. Each person should either be participating in terms of creating awareness as to what needs to be done, or must participate in implementing projects, designing and implementing projects, or doing both. These are the three possibilities that I'm putting out in terms of suggesting the pathways. And knowing some of the realities associated with our engagements, the realities on ground in the world at this moment, it is now even more dangerous for any human being to be alive and not be fully aware or following up with what's happening in the world where we live at the moment. We know the situations happening, that most of the gains acquired by SDGs, by the world, in pursuing SDGs from 2015 when it was launched to 2018, was almost wiped out by the pandemic. And as if that was not enough, the wars in different places began to spring up. When the crisis between Ukraine and Russia came up, everybody was thinking it was going to last just about 1 or 2 months or a few days and it would be over. But till today, we have added it to one of the anniversaries that we take note of. We're not talking about the second year, and it's still rolling. That which started between Israel and Hamas, Palestine, we're also thinking that this would be a short one, because previously, this is not the first time the crisis is happening. It's always been there. But every time it comes up, it happens within a short time and it ends. Now it's gone to 6 months and it's still counting. And destruction is happening all over. Global supply chains have been broken, and many of the sustainable development efforts being made are being literally wiped out. When you talk about climate change and things happening around it, it's unfolding and moving in different directions. At the Global Organization of African Academic Doctors, OAD, where we are working very intentionally, actually focusing on harnessing capabilities, we are paying attention to what's happening in all African countries. And recently, it has been reported, and our colleagues who are from Kenya have shown me information about what's going on there in terms of the massive rain that fell, and we're told that it's the highest in the past 70 years. And many places have been washed off. A number of people have died. The devastation has lasted. We're also aware of what's happening in Sudan. The war is raging and continues to go on for this length of time. In Eritrea, Ethiopia, the Congo, and several other regions within the continent of Africa, we are having these difficulties, and these are impacting on us. And when we talk about harnessing capabilities, it is of great essence that every human being who has got some level of capability gets to be fully involved and not being fanned or begged to get involved or to pay attention to doing what they have to do towards achieving one component, either participating in terms of creating awareness or designing and implementing projects, or in the aspect of doing both of them. But some of the challenges we've found in our engagement within the organization and beyond, across the continent generally, is that when you talk about harnessing capabilities, we are not talking about what individuals should be able to do. Harnessing implies bringing together different components, different contributors, having a coordinated process. And beautifully, the Africa Continental Free Area, which our brother mentioned previously, has given a platform. But the implications, the difficult challenges are that even though those platforms have been put in place, they are not able to achieve their aim except the specific human beings who are around the continent are able to put their minds together to work on specific things that can not just be a matter of having conversations, but about implementation. He talked about the fact that agriculture provides 2/3 of jobs within the continent. For us to be able to move intentionally towards implementation of this harnessing aspect, the Global Organization of Academic Doctors, OAD, has launched the Modern Agriculture and Rural Revitalization Center, which the first one is starting in Kenya. We call it our Mark 1, starting in Kenya, and we are working towards, we have already, like he mentioned, the issue of irrigation, which can allow agricultural activities to run on continuously and doesn't get to be broken. And just today, I listened to the meeting that was held by the African heads of state, which was chaired by President Ruto, where he was able to address and gather the movements to implement or to talk about what needs to be done at the moment. And some of the things they came together with would be that for us to make the progress, we must be able to focus on agriculture. So now focusing on agriculture will be about using what we have. When we have produced the agricultural products, we must be able to transport them using rail and all those things. Every individual should be able to, in terms of harnessing, we must key into what you can do. At the moment, the Global Organization of African Academic Doctors, because we have been able to pass the first layer, the difficult challenge of building trust amongst people when they come together to harness themselves, because this is what has prevented Africa from harnessing effectively to get things done. We have overcome this challenge of lack of trust. And at the moment, one of just a few of our members and also a good number of other people have come together already, having a plan of some of the 100,000 RMB already put in place for the agricultural projects that we're implementing at our Mark 1 in Kenya, which we have begun to work on. So subsequently, we are moving it and we're going to do this across all African countries. Our intention is to normalize this and impute it into the culture of the continent, such that across every country where we're operating, because of the reputation we have built and the fact that people are able to listen to us, just for the fact that we have been able to get some education level at the level of PhDs, we're able to harness at that level and not to use it as a show of achievement of individuals, but because we know that the world listens to those who have PhDs, we can harness that, we can pay attention to that, we can take advantage of that, and we are doing that, or at this moment, to help drive the engagement with our people in different localities, such that after we have injected the primary phase of investment in different countries, we are able to multiply that across the continent and make it a culture, such that we don't even, for example, the issue of irrigation. We are already working on, we have done the market survey of getting the equipment for putting, boring the hose for water, so we can use the underground water for irrigation to ensure that we are continuously producing. We've also met a number of entities in different countries to ensure that we're going to have markets so that we don't only sell on the continent. So when we talk about harnessing, the Global Organization of African Academic Doctors, we have decided to to operate at the phase of implementation. And the idea is that everybody who gets involved, we are able to do what we can to ensure that every individual will benefit depending on what they have put in. And this is what all Africans everywhere must do. Find a way of working together, paying attention to what is meaningful to every individual who is part of the work. Give attention to what matters to them. At the process of giving attention to what matters to everyone, you are able to build trust amongst yourselves. And with the trust built amongst yourself, you must mobilize funds, because there is no other method in this jungle by which any other set of human beings can survive except they bond themselves together. The United States of America, the topmost economy in the world with over $20 trillion economy, what they have done that has kept their economy on top for all these years is that that pool of trillions of dollars is available for all young people who have the mind to and who have the ability, who have the capability, harnessing capability, who have some capability. The government gives them money, and they are not on them that that even if the project doesn't succeed, they are not going to kill them. China has also been able to join at that level by doing no other magic. There is no other magic. They created a central account at the central government level, and now it's a $14 trillion economy. And every year, since 2022 or thereabout, or 2016, in their 5-year plans, they are allocating about 2% of their huge economy to the project which they call Internet for All. And this is progressing and engaging human beings. And that's why you find e-commerce booming within the continent, within the country, and several other things around that are moving because there is a central funding system. My brothers and my sisters, any set of people who don't find a way to fund innovation are not going to be able to make any progress within their own survival pursuits. And they're going to be swallowed and continuously get swallowed and will never escape being swallowed or being, dwelling as bottom dwellers of the world, except they go beyond that point where they're able to harness resources together and invest in ways that can attract global market, competitiveness within the global market. Because without that, it's impossible to make any progress within the world market. It's a jungle. And any set of persons who must succeed within there must play with the same capability, with the same power. If you don't play with the power that these entities play with, don't expect to play well within the global stage. And this is what Africa must do. And we have seen that it is not that easy for African countries to unite. Talking about politically or talking about just things that need to be done. So what are we doing about it? What can we do about it? We are uniting around projects. We're uniting around investments based on trust that has been built over time and is continuously being built. We have not got to where we want to get to, but this is the alarm we are sounding for all Africans everywhere they are. Look at your capabilities. Look at your competencies. Gather other people who have similar competencies and have interests. Build trust amongst them. And let it not be heard any longer amongst African young people that some people come together and put monies together and suddenly it disappeared. Suddenly they are telling stories. We don't want to hear this anymore. We are not living in a time where we are going to be joking. Please let us not joke with our lives. We cannot joke with the lives of our children, our future generation. We cannot joke with their lives because coming together and we cannot do things together because we don't trust one another. We are simply joking with our lives. My brothers and my sisters, I will take a pause at this point because I was given just a short time to talk, and hopefully the conversation continues. This is a lifetime thing, and I hope that everyone can pay attention and do what they can do. Do not consider it something that you do if you like, and if you don't like, you look away from it. No matter what your specialty is, pay attention to understand what's happening in the world. Pay attention to where the world is, understand geopolitics, understand geoeconomics, and pay attention to how you can get involved. Find a place, a niche you can get involved. Research, innovation, business. We must do all of this. And all these require funding, huge funding, and we must get this done. Thank you very much once again for your time and attention, and looking forward to having more conversations subsequently. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Always your lectures and your speeches. It's always been very much of an insight to most of us, and thank you so much. Also, as part of our appreciation for always honoring our invitations, even at very short notices, out of your very busy schedule, I would call on the CHINA president, Honorable Dennis, if you are here, to do our guest speaker an honor of presenting a citation in honor for him honoring our invitation. So, Honorable Dennis, if you are please ready, our guest speaker is ready as well.
Okay. Yes, so we would like to say a big thank you to Dr. D. Elijah. And this our appreciation of NUGS-CHINA. So citation of honor presented to Dr. Udi Elijah. The National Union of Ghana Students in China recognizes your invaluable contribution and insightful presentation as a guest speaker at the 5th Afba International Conference on the 1st of May 2024. Your expertise and knowledge have significantly enriched the discussions and have provided profound insights towards sustainable development and self-reliance in Africa. We sincerely appreciate your dedication to excellence and your willingness to share your experience with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again. Really grateful. Really grateful. Appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Odi, our neighbor, for also always honoring our invitations when we call on you. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate this. To our media team, I think you're ready. I want us to get a little bit of a media musical interlude as we prepare for our next segment. We are a little bit behind time, but kindly, just in about a minute or two, we just want to get a little bit of a musical interlude, if you can do that for us as we prepare for the next segment. Thank you so much once again, Odi, our neighbor.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. Our media team, please, we are waiting. All right, since our media team is refusing to give us some...
Upon the gold and the diamond, the bucks and the oil, we stood the beg for dough. Africa rich, we not be poor. Corruption just they make them so. Upon the gold and the diamond, the bucks and the oil, we stood the beg for food. Now everything may fall apart. Politicians they lie without be fat. Them go they fill them our bellies and family, then leaving the poor to suffer die. Promises for promises. After your vote, them go leave your premises. I just see the remedies. All these years come alive became images. Yeah. Poor roads in hospitals. They go they fly to Europe for health issues. They go they use one eye and taxes to show them my girls them barbecues. Mama Africa, eh. Mama Africa, eh. Mama Africa, eh. Mama Africa, eh. Yaro, yara. Wonso yara. Yaro, yara. Wonso jini papi yara. Yaro, yara. Wonso mi yara. Yaro, yara. Mama Africa de Bigo yara. or we go match for boot for boot. Rise up my country people, rise up my country youth. We they deserve the best, no evil, or we go match for boot for boot. Now everything may fall apart. Politicians they lie with that be facts. Them go they fill them my bellies, them family they live in the work to suffer that. Promises for promises. After your vote, them go leave your premises. I just received the remedies. All these years, no my life became medis. More roads and hospitals. Them go they fly to Europe for health issues. Them go they use one hard and taxes to chill them my girls, them barbecues. Mama Africa, eh. Mama Africa, eh. Africa, eh. Mama Africa, eh.
Thank you so much, Mr. DJ. I think for a moment I was lost in the moment. I was thinking of this. All right, but we are far behind time. And so we moved directly to the next segment. I think we've had enough of the speeches, and now we are going to zoom straight to the academic aspect of this whole program. We first want to say thank you to everybody that is here. We are reminding ourselves that this is the Africa's Future Beyond Aid International E-Conference. This is the 5th edition in succession. We also would be topping up this whole program with the Academic Excellence Award. And that being said, we are going to move straight to the next segment. And then we have been graced by very special guests who happen to be experts handpicked from certain fields to help us on this very segment and to help us introduce these panelists. I'll call on our very own Paul, who happens to be also a member of the Academic Committee Board, to help us in a brief introduction of our panelists, as we also introduce the speakers in this very segment. So, Mr. Paul, if you're ready, we are ready for you as well.
Thank you very much. I believe I can be heard. Yeah, hello.
Yes, please, you
Yes,
can
we
be
can
heard.
hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you once again. I'm afraid for part of the academic committee and also head of the academic excellence award, standing on existing protocols with no order of preference. Our first panelist is currently a lecturer at the Department of Management Studies in the Faculty of Business Education at the Akentin Apia Minkan University of Skills, Training and Entrepreneur. She has a PhD in Management Science and Engineering from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, that is Chengdu. She also holds an MBA from Swiss Management Center University, Zug, that is Switzerland, and a bachelor degree in Management Studies from the University of Education, Winneba. She is also a chartered professional administrator and a chartered management consultant with a research interest in research areas such as corporate social responsibility, green human resource, and etc. Our first panelist is in the person of Dr. Mavis Edu Jemfi. Doctor, if you are here, we are privileged to have you on board of this 5th Afba conference.
Thank you very much.
Our second panelist is currently an associate professor at the Dubai Business School, University of Dubai, United Arab Emirates, holds a PhD in finance and economics from Jiangsu University, and also a recipient of the International Young Talent Award from Jiangsu University. He is an editor for various journals, including the Energy and Environmental and Sage Open Journal. He also serves as a reviewer for renowned journals like Renewable Energy, Energy Economics, Renewable and Sustainable Energy. His major area of research include financial development, environmental and energy economics, with a key emphasis on econometric modeling. He is in the person of Professor Michael Asmond Appiah. Prof, if you are here on behalf of NUGS, we are grateful for your presence. Our third panelist is one of our own. He is currently serving as a research fellow in the College of Geography and Environmental Science at Henan University, China. He is an earlier researcher who investigates societal challenges and solutions using land-based and state-of-the-art approaches. And also an editorial board member of BMSc Environmental Science and a key member of the Organization of African Academic Doctors, in which our own Dr. Odi happens to be the president. And he's also part of the Asian Geographers Association, Young Geographers Working Group. He is also a reviewer of notable journals such as Habitat International and etc. Our third panelist is in the person of Dr. Isaac Safo. Doctor, if you are here, please, we are pleased to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Paul.
Thank you so much, Honorable Paul. That was brief, and I love that. And I really love that. All right. So to introduce our presenters who have been handpicked, and various presentations are coming from the fields of health, energy, technology, and AI. What our panelists are basically going to do is these individuals are going to present on various research works that they have ongoing and are yet to be published. What the panelists are going to do is to comment on these and how to make them better. So without wasting much time, I'm going to call our very first presenter for today. We'll please beg that we try to make them very brief so that the panelists can have time to work on them. And our first is actually a professional and has a strong background in supply chain and operations management. And he holds a bachelor's degree from, sorry, let me get this right. I don't want to get it wrong. Before I'm beaten, I think I got beaten for such.
University of Professional Studies.
University of Professional Studies. He was an MSc, also from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He's also an associate member of the Chartered Institute of UK and Ghana. He asked to represent, in fact, he's presenting on the topic. Please forgive me if I get the pronunciations wrong. It's not my field. Platformization of healthcare supply chain. For enhanced resilience and sustainability, exploring the transformative potential of multi-stakeholder platform. Sorry, I don't know why my projector is hiding your topic. Yes, exploring the transformative potential of multi-stakeholder platform adaptation. So he is in the person of Mr. Samuel Abuaje. Sir, please, you have the floor.
Thank you. I hope I can share my screen.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I hope it's visible.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's very visible.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, my senior colleagues and senior panelist members. I deem it a very great honor to present on platformization of healthcare supply chain for enhanced resilience and sustainability, exploring the transformative potential of multi-stakeholder platform adoption. My name is Samuel Abuaje, a second-year PhD student at Capital University of Economics and Business, Beijing. I must say that the last time I had a presentation like this was at a conference at UPSA, and with a panelist of professors and doctors, and I went bruised. I went back bruised. So I hope today I will not have any heart attack. And but it's a learning curve. And again, this is an ongoing project. It's my final thesis, which I'm working on. So The latter part of it is more of assumption, and so it's asking what I anticipate to do next. Now, I must admit that the pandemic actually exposed a lot of vulnerabilities and structural inefficiencies in the healthcare supply chain and other sectors. And also, this actually highlighted the need for an adaptable and a robust economic systems across physical, data sharing, and financial flows to ensure that we have a very resilient and a sustainable system, especially in Africa. So when we talk about platformization, it's a big word, but we can all understand when we use Uber, when we use Airbnb, when we use Amazon. Those are all platforms, digital platforms that are layered with modular informations and communications that helps different nodes to come together to achieve a simple solution. And so platformization is a process of converging existing IT silos with new technologies to generate a digital platform as a business strategy that offers opportunity for technology leapfrogging. And that it is one of the areas that is missing in healthcare supply chain. In other aspect of healthcare, which has to do with patient accessing services, it is available. But the main area of supply chain, that aspect is quite missing. So when we look at the platformization in the context of healthcare, we have various authors who have tried to define and explain what it means. Benitez et al. Said the process of creating and developing a technology-enabled platform that facilitates the coordination and integration of various actors, that is suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and customers in a supply chain ecosystem. Buikoza et al. Said the adoption of digital platforms that enable the orchestration of resources and activities among multiple stakeholders, such as healthcare providers, suppliers, and patients to create and capture value collaboration. Barrel et al. Said the process of developing an innovative business model based on a digital platform that enables the creation of an ecosystem. So if you look at all the definitions here, the terminology and definitions, they may vary, but a common theme across these studies is the use of digital platform to enable collaboration, coordination, and resource integration among diverse stakeholders in the healthcare supply chain ecosystem. So platformization actually is seen as a very transformative approach that can leverage technology to facilitate seamless interactions, information exchange, and value co-creation among healthcare providers, suppliers, distributors, and other actors to enhance efficiency, resilience, and sustainability, because we know that resilience and sustainability is the key thing if we want to go beyond aid. So these definitions, we can say that they highlight the potential of platformization to change the traditional healthcare supply chain models by fostering the connection of transparency and collaborative innovations within the various stakeholders that we've mentioned, that's suppliers, manufacturers, health facilities, and so on. So why is resilience and sustainability in healthcare supply chain very important? I mean, the pandemic exposed a lot of challenges and vulnerabilities. So why are we saying the resilience and sustainability is very important in healthcare supply chain? When we talk about resilience, we are saying that the ability of these healthcare supply chains to be able to withstand and adapt and recover from disruptions and unexpected events. And it is important because disruptions in healthcare supply chains can lead to a lot of shortages. That is the first point, ensuring continuity of care. Lead to shortages of critical medical supplies. Imagine going to a hospital and in an emergency situation and there's no medical supplies to take care of you. Pharmaceuticals or equipment directly impacting, patient care. And therefore, a resilient supply chain can mitigate this risk and ensure that the service is uninterrupted. Again, responding to emergencies, we say that healthcare supply chains must be able to be resilient to respond effectively to emergencies such as natural disasters, pandemics or disease outbreaks. Therefore, if the system is resilient, it should be capable of rapid mobilization of resources, adjustment of supply networks, and adaptation to surges in demand as well. Also, mitigating risk. If the system is resilient, we can say that healthcare supply chains are susceptible to various risks, including supply failures, transportation disruptions, regulatory changes, cyber security threats, obviously. So a resilient supply chain can anticipate, it can monitor, and it can also respond to these risks proactively by minimizing their impact on operations and patient care. In the aspect of sustainability, we can say that it is very crucial because sustainability, actually looking at the environmental, social, and economic dimensions that we use to measure sustainability, we say that healthcare supply chains, they have significant footprint on the environment, contributing to waste generation, energy consumption, as well as greenhouse gas emission. And therefore, sustainable practices such as responsible sourcing, waste reduction, and energy efficiency can minimize the environmental impact and promote a circular economy. In terms of social sustainability, healthcare supply chains must also consider social aspects, including ethical labor practices, product safety, and equitable access to healthcare services. Economic sustainability. Also, healthcare supply chains must balance the cost effectiveness with quality and accessibility. Therefore, sustainable practices such as efficient resource allocation, collaborative partnership, and long-term planning is very critical here. So if we integrate resilience and sustainability into healthcare supply chain strategies, facilities and actors in the healthcare supply chain can better prepare for any disruptions that may come. Looking at the challenges currently in the healthcare supply chain, is enormous, and this actually applies generally, but mostly to developing countries, of which our dear continent is much of. The first one is supply-demand mismatch and inventory management issues. The authors there, they highlighted the challenges of demand variability and inventory management in pharmaceutical supply chain, which sometimes lead to stock out or excess inventory. At the same time, they emphasize the problems of supply-demand mismatch and inventory management in healthcare supply chain, particularly in developing countries. Lack of visibility and information sharing is also another part. We also have regulatory compliance and quality control issues. We also have supply chain resilience and risk management, as well as sustainability and social responsibility. So these are some of the current challenges that is bewildering our healthcare supply chain in developing countries. And if we look at the impact of these challenges on the resilience and sustainability, if you pick the first one, we know that supply-demand mismatch and inventory management issue as a challenge, stock out or excess inventory due to poor demand forecasting and inventory management can severely undermine the resilience of healthcare supply chain. So the impact of that on resilience is that shortages of critical medical supplies or pharmaceutical can disrupt patient care and hinder their ability to respond effectively. I think I discussed this earlier on. So it is important that we as researchers need to look at the impact of the challenges on resilience and sustainability. Mind you, the resilience and sustainability is what is going to be able to drive our healthcare supply chain system to be able to withstand and continue to do well in times of crisis or in times of unexpected situations. So why this study? Again, with the background that has been given, it is obvious that multi-stakeholder platforms are going to be one of the groundbreaking areas of supply chain innovations, with the potential to change the various industries by facilitating a very seamless coordination of processes. I said earlier that Uber and Airbnb, Amazon, in other sectors, it is quite common there, but in the healthcare supply chain, it is quite lacking. And that is the reason why this study is very key to my heart. And so one of the two main academic gaps that I identified there is the lack of empirical insights into multi-stakeholder healthcare supply chains. And the second one is the predominance of conceptual models and narrow qualitative evaluations. Again, on the aspect of the theoretical gaps, there is a lack of theoretical advancement in supply chain innovations ecosystems, and also there's limited integration of resilience, sustainability, and multidimensional supply chain flows. And therefore, based on this, the main research question that I framed for my study is how does adopting multi-stakeholder digital platforms transform operational, financial, and information flows to enhance resilience and sustainability across healthcare supply chain ecosystem in developing countries. Now, the case description, I need to point out that my study is a case study. And so the case description here, which looks at a multi-stakeholder platform in Ghana, which is called Med for All. Med for All actually is a platform that connects health facilities directly with pre-qualified medicine suppliers, meaning that the facilities can access quality medicines directly from suppliers at right price without intermediaries. So Med for All platform, but it's only accessible to CHAG health institutions. And in Ghana healthcare system, we have Christian Health Association, we have the Ghana Health Services, we have Ahmadiyya Muslim, and so different actors, and we have the private sector, private hospitals. But this particular platform is specifically for Christian Health Association of Ghana institutions. And this platform connects those health institutions to suppliers. And it is funded by public funders and investors, private investors, and other funders. And the main partner is Farm Access and Christian Health Association of Ghana. And they put together a platform that is called Med for All platform, which is the focal company trying to link facilities to suppliers on a common platform. So my study is focused on this as a case study to understand the different dynamics and how the stakeholders interact so that it can be used as a model to move to the other sectors like the main Ghana health service system where medical stores do sell to health facilities, but it's not in an integrated platform. The theories, philosophy, and methodology underpinning this study. So first of all, the theories that this study I have adopted to use is the first one is the stakeholder theory, which is also crucial for understanding the dynamics and the outcome of multi-stakeholder digital platform in healthcare supply chain. Because this theory, it emphasized the importance of considering and balancing the interests of various stakeholders, including suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, healthcare providers, patients, regulators, and financial institutions. So by applying the stakeholder theory, I believe that the study can analyze how the adoption and governance of this digital platform affect the relationship, power dynamics, and value creation processes among the different stakeholders. The second theory is the diffusion of innovation, DOI theory. And in particular, it is very relevant for examining the adoption and implementation of multi-stakeholder digital platform in healthcare supply chain. DOI, as it's called, on the other hand, I see that it will be able to explain why and at what rate new ideas and technology spread through a social system. Then the last theory that I want to use is the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, just UTAT, which is an updated version of TAM. And the model was introduced by Venkatesh 2003, which proposed about 4 core dominants of behavior intention as use behavior, and which is performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions. So this particular model core construct, such as the performance expectancy, I see is linked to the perceived benefit and usefulness, effort expectancy as perceived ease of use, social influence as subjective norms and peer influence, and facilitating condition as well. On the philosophy for this, because it's a case study, qualitative study for that matter has to have a grounding philosophy. And the philosophy is on interpretivism. Why interpretivism? Because it posits that there are multiple interpretations of reality shaped by individuals' experience, perspective, and interactions with their environment, and therefore it is well suited for qualitative research approaches that aim to understand complex social phenomena. And in this context, as for this case study, the research aim is to explore the transformative potential of multi-stakeholder digital platform in enhancing the resilience and sustainability of healthcare supply chain ecosystem. Therefore, it involves investigating the experience, perception, and perspective of various stakeholders, including health providers, suppliers, distributors, regulators, and financial institutions. Therefore, I believe that this philosophy recognizes that each stakeholder or group may have a different interpretation of the platform's impact, its adoption challenges, and its value proposition based on their unique context and also the roles that and experience that they are encountering. And therefore, adopting this stance, I will be able to look into the diverse perspective and gain more understanding of the complex dynamics and interaction within the platform. The method, as I said earlier, this research is employing a qualitative case study method in a theory building approach to examine multi-stakeholder digital platform aiming to transform healthcare supply chains. The case study was chosen because it is very apt for exploratory inquiry, as the phenomenon of healthcare supply chain platformization is recent, it's new, and there's little studies in that aspect. And therefore, there is not much pre-existing theory and empirical evidence available, as suggested by Essenhand, Mills, and Huberman, Seron, and Yin. So this is the right approach to this complex interaction between these factors and stakeholders will be able to come out with a good outcomes when well understood. And also, an exploratory approach will also enable an inductive theory development by surfacing key variables and relationships to guide systematic future research as well. So semi-structured interviews will serve as the principal means of obtaining primary data. Already, that interview questions have been drafted and approved by my supervisor as well. In the study, we'll cover 6 health facilities, and to be able to have a very fair representative, where I'm going to look at different dynamics in the health facilities. So we're going to take health centers and clinics 3, district hospital level 3, and in the pharmaceutical sector 6 as well, 3 local manufacturers, 2 importing suppliers, and also 2 distribution wholesalers. Additionally, the main partners will be there: Christian Health Association of Ghana, pharmacists, and the focal company, which is Med for All operating team, and other stakeholders that may come up as well. Again, the sample until the interviews will be conducted until saturation is achieved. So it is not to fix number of interviews to conduct until saturation is achieved in terms of the case study. So I cannot put a number to that for now. Qualitative data from the interviews will be coded in Excel to identify key themes relating to the research question, and this will follow an iterative process. Iterative is going back with to benchmark with the theory to come back with the interviews and conducting within case and cross-case analysis and comparing coded data to ensure consistency whilst refining iteratively as more data is coded. It is expected that 2 case papers will be published, and already 1 review paper has been submitted to Technovation, which is under review. And so 2 more hopefully will be published from this study, aside the main thesis document that will be released. So the anticipated results is that I anticipate that the study will provide valuable insight into the adoption and implementation and the impact of multi-stakeholder digital platform in healthcare supply chains. Also, to identify the key factors that influence platform adoption, such as perceived usefulness, ease of use, compatibility, and stakeholder engagement. Also, I hope the study can reveal the challenges, enablers, and best practices for successful platformization in different healthcare contexts. Also, to shed light on the transformative potential of digital platform in enhancing the resilience, efficiency, and sustainability. Additionally, I also hope the study will also provide evidence of the impact of platformization on various platform dimensions, including cost reduction, quality improvement, and patient outcome. In conclusion, I believe that this study will make significant contribution to the understanding of platformization of healthcare supply ecosystem. Also, by conducting this case study of Med for All in Ghana, I hope this research will provide empirical evidence and insight into the adoption, governance, and impact of multi-stakeholder digital platform in developing countries. And overall, I hope this research will pave the way for future studies on the transformative potential of digital platform in driving collaborative innovation and value creation. And I hope that next year, hopefully, the opportunity will be given by then to share the, let me say, findings, because I'll be done with the studies, to share the findings as well. And since next month, I'll be going to do my case interviews. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish in that time and share the findings with this community and to help others to adopt this platformization in other sectors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Inview Abuaje. That was straight, and I think it was heard by all of us. And before you please leave, I'm seeing people in the chat box saying it was a great presentation. I fully agree with them. And before you leave, we have a little bit of a Q&A where we ask our participants. I'm being generous enough, so I'm going to allow 3 people to ask questions to clear their doubts, concerns.
I think suggestion will be more.
Don't worry, I'll still give my panelists suggestions time and then opinions from them. I mean, they are experts in their field. But before that, I would please give room for 3 people. I'm already seeing Master Philip Aliumo's hand on. So please, I'll give you the chance to ask the first question so that our Dr. Inview would give you an answer to that before we move on to the next 2 people. Please kindly forgive me if I don't see your hands up.
Thank you, MC. My question is that regarding the medical supply chains, I want to ask, being somebody who is researching in this area, what do you also think about the prospects of the drones that are being used these days to supply medical materials? And what are some of the challenges that you perceive that we need to address in implementing this technology? Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get the question well. Can you? I think the volume
was
can
you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Your volume is quite faint, but I can hear.
Okay, so my question is that regarding the medical supply chains, what do you think about the use of the medical drones to supply the materials to the hospitals? What are some of the challenges that is facing and what we can do about it? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, well, in terms of the medical drones, well, I believe that it's a good initiative to reach areas that are quite difficult to reach by road and by other means. But the only challenge is the volume and quantum of medical items that they can carry at a particular point in time. So if you have observed, it's the target for that is to be able to deliver such emergency medical items to various far to reach places. And it is quite transformative and good, but we have to also look at the other aspect of creating different substations of, let me say, collective supply hubs in areas that will be able to help transport medical equipment or pharmaceutical products as quickly as possible to those areas that cannot be picked by the drones. So we need to look at that angle. But for now, other developed economies are even using the drones to do deliveries of other things that is not even medical items. So in terms of the quantum of things they can pick, it's okay. It's a good idea. And we have to extend it to other areas and not only to those small sectors that we think we have to deliver. But then we have to look beyond that, because there are certain equipment that are also needed in certain areas which cannot be carried by the drone. So we need to also look at what other transformative processes or innovative ideas we can use to transport them as quickly as possible whenever they need it in those areas.
Thank you so much, Doc. I believe that Master Limo, I believe that your question has been answered. If you are not satisfied, tell me. I'll let him elaborate more.
Oh, thank you. I'm
So,
okay.
wonderful. We shall allow him to slide in. We shall allow him to.
No. Easy,
I
easy,
love
easy,
that.
easy.
Okay, sure. So we have Dr. Odi's hand up. Dr. Odi also has a question. Thank you so much, Master Limo and Master Abuaji. Sorry, Dr. Inview Alimo and Dr. Inview Abuaji. Please forgive me. The titles are very necessary. Okay, Doc, please, you can.
Thank you very much. Very beautiful presentation, which also has business implications. I'm very much excited about it because it's something that can be implemented. Like there are still customers that are not yet served. And that's a potential business entry point for some of us who may be interested in doing such businesses. And I'm actually aware at the moment that there is a certain proposal of that nature that's going on in Nigeria and some other countries. So I'd like to ask, maybe if depending on what your answer is to my first question, it may be necessary to ask a second one. In your, I don't know, maybe I didn't pay attention well, but I think I paid attention all the way from the beginning. Maybe I got lost at some point, but I want to ask, did you include some control data sources?
Well, it's a case study, so it's not like secondary data analysis. So it's a case study. So actually, I am to go and conduct interview. Actually, the platform is available working. So the main objective of the study is to understand how the platform can be replicated to other health sectors in the country. Because currently what the platform is doing is serving only specific facilities and specific areas. So my intention is to go study that facility, that platform, and understand how the platform dynamics works, and also get to know the challenges. Then I'll be able to propose some of the suggestions and other future studies on how it can be used in other areas of healthcare supply chain. So it is not a secondary data aspect that I have to use those control, whatever you're talking about. Yeah.
Thank you. So the response is no, you did not use
yes.
control data. Okay. So but some of the indicators you talked about that in terms of the expected outcomes, I am worried whether whether the research in its current design can really answer such question. For example, you mentioned the aspect of cost reduction.
Yes.
If you're not comparing, if you're not using any control data source, or because of course, controls are not necessarily for secondary data analysis. It can be used for both sides, depending on the design of the research. So if you're not having a control data, I'm worried how you can compare cost. I don't know if I heard any information about how you can compare to answer questions like the cost reduction component and some other variables you mentioned that may need that you should have some data from other sources that are not exposed to the same treatment. Because I'm looking at the platform now as a treatment. As a particular treatment group. Yes. So if you're not comparing with some control group, how do you show cost reduction or the other factors? For several factors you mentioned, they can be done without a control. But for things like cost, how can you come across that? How can you come about with that?
So the approach for the case study is to go with an open mind, to ask several questions relating to the stakeholders on the platform. Therefore, in the aspect of the treatment, obviously, questions in that aspect is going to be asked. But the point is, when you are asking them in terms of what has been the impact of the platform, obviously, you have to benchmark that with the data that they are going to provide for you. So, for instance, you are a hospital, you are on a platform, and I come to you with this study to ask you questions about when did you join the platform? Because there has been beginning point of joining the platform before. When did you join the platform? So maybe I joined in 2018. In relation to joining the platform, before that, what has been the trend? Then I'll be able to gather data from them in terms of their operational data as to when we join the platform, this is how much we've been able to do. Before joining the platform, this is how much our procurement and our revenues were. After joining, this is how much. Then at that point, I'll be able to. So mostly when you are doing a case study, you can go with a proposition, and after you go, whilst you are conducting the interview, you can come back and change it all the way, because at the end of the day, you go back, refer to the theory, and come back to refer to your results that you have gathered. And at the end of the day, it is hoped, but my final report, which is going to be based on the interview conducted as per my interview questions, may give me the exact happening on the ground.
Okay. I got that now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Odi. Thank you so much, Dr. Enview, Abuaji. Sometimes it becomes quite interesting and good when we have at least one person on the panel trying to be a little violent. The notion here is not to push that off guard, but to help our research work become much better. Thank you so much for the insight in that. So, Dr. Abuaji, are you still there?
I'm here.
We are not done with you. We are just getting started. So I'll please call on our panelist. Please, I would beg. We are to help make his work better. We need comments and opinions, constructive ones for that matter as well. So in no special order, I'm still going to be a little benevolent. I'm going to call our first panelist. Doc Mavis, please, are you there? Yeah, I mean, we say that ladies first, right? So I'm please pushing you out first as the sacrificial lamb. Can we have your comment or opinions?
Oh, okay. All right. Good evening.
You are at liberty to be
everyone.
violent if you want to be.
All right. That was a nice presentation though, and I believe Washi doesn't want to be crucified. Don't worry. So some of the few points that I'd like to share with him. The presentation highlighted on the critical need for platformization in health supply chain. That was a very good point, because I think in Ghana, we need such of this. The platforms are not too much in the country. So this will help to facilitate the healthcare sector. And I'm also intrigued by the potential for the multi-stakeholders platforms to enhance the resilience and the sustainability. That one is very, very important too. The multi-stakeholders approach he presented is crucial for the platform success. I think it will bring a success to the healthcare sector in Ghana. However, you can also consider how you can foster trust issues. That's we foster greater collaboration and trust among the stakeholders. Since you're going to do with human, definitely you have to look out for the trust issue to drive adoption impact. Okay. And then also the potential for platformization to address supply chain disruption and improve pandemic preparedness. We don't know when another pandemic will come. Okay, so I think we have to also prepare for that to improve pandemic preparedness. That one is very, very significant. And then your research has important implications for global health security. It cannot be limited to Ghana alone. I think it can also go beyond Africa. And I'm also hoping that at the end of the research, you implement this to facilitate easy access of healthcare in Ghana. Okay, these are some of the few comments I would like to share with you. But I have to take the trust issue very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc. I think you're benevolent enough. You have a motherly heart, so you decided not to be violent, even if I gave you the platform to be. So, Dr. Safo, are you please there?
Yeah, Dr. Jofi, I'm here.
Yeah, do you have anything for our man? Or you are going the violence line?
Okay,
I really love
just as you mentioned, we just need to be constructive. That's the most important thing, ideally. Okay, so I would like to commend Honorable Samuel, yeah, for his, I think the topic basically do have considerable merit to be considered for publication in high impact factor journals. Now, I have some comments and then some questions as well, which could help you to improve the scientific outlook of your paper. Okay, so when you commenced, you highlighted a number of theories which underpin the current study. In order not for you to just generalize the whole thing, I would strongly recommend or suggest that you tailor or you liaise most of these. Yeah, I was happy you mentioned resilience and sustainability. So it is very important that you liaise these aspects, particularly SDG 3, what draws on those tenets. You liaise these to other sustainable development goals. So the key concepts here, you highlighted digitalization, you highlighted resilience, you highlighted sustainability. You made mention of how it touches on some other aspects. It is important that you liaise SDG 3, which draws on health, provision of quality health services to other sustainable development goals, like 16, and then some other. So once you connect them, then we know the importance of your study and how it's interconnected to other key SDGs or key sectors. So that is the first one. The second one was, in your presentation, I realized that you included results, I think at the last but one or last but two, in your last but one or last but two slides. Since you've not carried out a survey and then you are presenting this to audience, I wouldn't advise you target as such as results, but then you can state expected outcomes because you are yet to present the results to us. So that is for your attention. And then I would like to ask, you highlighted the academic gaps, and then you also highlighted the theoretical gaps in your study, which you wish to bridge. What is the application value of your study? I know Dr. Odi highlighted the business aspect of it, and then our very able Dr. Mavis also asked you to liaise it to its international, the international or scientific relevance of your study. The need to put more ink, let me put it that way, or give it more weight. So I would want you to also tell us the application value of your study. And then how did you arrive at the samples? If I heard you clearly, you said you would be engaging 6 hospitals or something, health units or something. How did you arrive at those numbers? And how representative are those numbers in drawing logical conclusions? And then with the target population, how did you come about that? Can you throw more light on that so that if we have any further comments, we can also guide you or push those comments across accordingly? Okay, thank you. So these are the few comments and then questions I have for you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think okay.
Dr. Boji, please, can we see you? We want to see if you are sweating or you're just taking it cool at your end.
Yes.
Also, it was a
Yes.
popular request, so please, you can
Yeah,
continue.
that's fine. That's fine. So I think on the last part, actually on the platform, I couldn't put a lot of the information. On the platform, they have 51 facilities on the platform, which is 5-1, as per the facilities that have joined the platform. And normally in case study, you multiple case study within the space of between 6 to 11, 15. Obviously, it should not be, if it goes beyond getting to 20, 30, then you are doing a survey. It's not a case study. So in that aspect, and to be able to have a fair representative of the different dynamics of hospitals that are on a platform, the understanding is to categorize them into the health facilities. Even within the health facilities, they have clinics and maternity homes. They have district hospitals. So to have a fair representative, each segment of that have to be selected for the interview. And in terms of the suppliers as well, we have local manufacturers, we have importers, and we have even distributors. And so in that sector too, a fair representative has to be picked so that we'll be able to have a fair understanding of each of the stakeholders' perspective of the platform. So that's the basis for the handpicking of those different sectors of the people on the platform.
Yeah, there has to be a justification for that. Normally, just as you mentioned, if it's a single case study or multiple case study, you still need to have an expression to substantiate that, just for the avoidance of doubt. And like I said, in order to draw logical conclusions. So just consider that. And then the last one had to do with the application value. What's the application value of your study?
That application value.
Okay, let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
What are the policy implications? I think to a layman here. So what are the policy implications? You highlighted the theoretical aspect and then the gaps that existed. What is the application value of your study? Or the policy implications?
Okay, so the policy implication is that this particular platform, for instance, is being spearheaded by the private sector, which actually is from the Dutch government supporting Christian Health Association of Ghana, which I believe that if we have a state system, a state platform, for instance, in the financial sector, in the fintech sector, Singapore has a state-funded financial platform, which is quite robust and helping a lot of startups and SMEs in Singapore, which I believe that if Ghana is able to adopt this private sector led and make it more of a public sector as well, it will be very crucial for our health care system, because we often have issues with medical stores running out of stocks, and sometimes we have fire issues and all those kind of issues, which I believe that these studies can provide a very good policy direction for the public sector or the government to adopt this policy to be able to move the healthcare supply chain system to a different level so that it can withstand any, let's say, supposed pandemic or any unforeseen risks that may arrive.
Okay, on your last point, I would ask you to exercise question, because per the modernization theory, development is not a linear evolutionary process, or the neo-Marxists will put it that way. So when you are comparing systems, you need to be very careful. Sometimes I know researchers will have to draw on certain experiences and case scenarios from different countries. But what exists in Singapore and then that of Ghana, even though there are some similarities, there's big difference between these systems. So please ensure you tread with caution. And the other one was just a mere comment, which has to do with how you can enrich your introduction or the rationale of your study. It's based on the tenets of the aspect that dwell on resilience and sustainability. So if you look at some key sustainable development like SDG 3, you can interconnect. How does it contribute, or how does management or digitization contribute to other sustainable development goals? So you can look at 16, you can look at 17, the ones which deals with partnerships, the one which deals with equity and equality, to just enrich it so that it wouldn't be like you are generalizing too much, but then you narrow yourself. And then I think it's an interesting study, and I hope you really put more effort into getting it done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Look, when I see you like this, I get happy. Thank you so much, our panelists. I think it's been insightful. Thank you so much for your comments, your suggestions. I believe that you would have them factored into your work. I mean, the main focus here is to make your work better. Professor Appiah, are you there? Appiah?
He's not there.
I think he's all right. I think he's not here. I would reserve him for the next. I believe at this point, my next.
He has appeared, though. Yes.
Prof, please. In fact, I'm going to give you just a minute to give us a comment. Please, we don't want any violence.
I am a sustainability boy, or I am a sustainability professor. If we have issues on sustainability, how can you give me 1 minute? This is not fair.
With my discretion, Prof. Anyway, Prof, please, you have the floor. Your comments, your opinions on this work, please.
Yeah, that is a very nice presentation. Good evening from Dubai. At the moment, it's 5, and thank you for the opportunity you've given to me. And I've gone through. That was a very nice presentation. And because I focus most on sustainability, I was paying keen interest in how this is going to help our environment. When we talk about sustainability, things that will not jeopardize the future. So I'm so much interested in the sustainability part. In your presentation, you made mention of sustainability, with which you indicated economic, social, and environment. I don't know the full work, but is your work going to consider each of these factors, that is the economic, social, and environment, or is going to consider all of them as a whole? So if you don't have any idea about maybe looking at it from different pillars, that is the economic, social, and environment, maybe in the near future, you can look at that, how the platformization and the supply chain results in each and every aspect of sustainability. Because we have the sustainability as a whole, and we also have the different pillars under sustainability. So as a researcher, always we say that there is direction for future research. So if you don't have any future direction for this, I can think that you can look at it from the economic point of view, the economic sustainability, the social sustainability, and also from the environmental sustainability point of view. Okay, straight up, I think with the theories, Professor, the one who just spoke before I came, made mention of the theories. I think that there are so many theories backing your work. I don't know how, maybe if it is an article-based thesis or it is just one thesis. Currently, I am reviewing one thesis for one of my students here, and that there has been application of so many theories. So if you could be a little concerned about the theories that backs up your research, because if it is article-based thesis, then this is when we have a lot of theories coming into play. But if we have only one study, that is thesis, not a combination of papers, then I think that we can look at having one or two theories that are very robust to back up on your research. And we can look at concepts as well, because some of the keywords and some of the key terms that you employed do not have theories backing it. So if there are no theories, then one way or the other, there has been some concepts, some ideas that people have propounded, but not a theory. So we can also look at that in terms of the theoretical aspect of your work, if we need to improve upon it. And the third point, I will look at the data analysis, because it is out of the data analysis that we are going to get the results. We are going to get our recommendation and how it is going to be applied on us. So I want to know how you are going to control error of margin or margin of error, because in primary data collection, we always face problem with reliability and credibility. So how are you going to control errors? Yeah, and Professor Odi made mention of control factors. Yes, if you are going to control for errors, or how you are going to control the margin of error, I think that you have to include the controls. As Professor Odi said, you need to include controls, and these controls shouldn't be any other controls just over the area of study, because some researchers and some authors just pick any control and they just put it in their papers or in their research. But if you are going to apply control, which in turn will be used to control margin of error, I think that you have to get controls that will be that will be linked to the main topic of what? Of discussion. So we have to look at that. And lastly, on the data collection, yeah, how are you going to include the over-the-counter people? Because in our setting, we have over-the-counter pharmacy. They are not, or they may not be included in the platform, as you indicated. So if you have any mindset of including some people like that, because they are also in the supply chain business, they are also helping to distribute drugs. They are also helping to improve, in quote, improve upon the health care delivery in our society or in our system. So how are you going to capture these people or these outlets in our on our platforms? So this is the little I can say about that. And I think my time, I don't have to take so much time. So I think I'll reserve most of my comments for the next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Pierre. Thank you, Doc. Doc, would you want to address them? I should just give you time to sing them in.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think they were more of
opinions and comments.
Yes, no, a suggestion for me to improve the work. So
exactly.
I think I'll take that in the
So I think you can have them included in your work. Thank you so much for being with us, our panelists. I think that was quite insightful from all your expert angles. I think that we wish you all the very best. Having them figured out in your work, so that, as you rightfully said, maybe when we meet next year, hopefully you'll give us the good news of the publication or probably your results, as you rightfully mentioned. If anybody wants to reach out to you, I think we'll make your details available through the national president or the vice president, just in case somebody wants to reach out to you. Thank you so much, and once again, wish you the very best in the research. All right. So we are moving to our next panelist. He will make it very brief for us, else you know what will be coming to you. All right, so I think his profile is already there. I'll make it very brief. He is a second-year PhD student in the Department of Finance in the School of Economics and Law, that's Zhongnan. He has research in peer-reviewed journals in Web of Science, and he tells me that beyond academia, he's a lover of nature and also takes joy in listening to music. He's presenting on the sustainable sparks, that is illuminating sub-Saharan Africa's energy landscape with environmentally responsible, is it FDIs? Okay, foreign direct investment in the race to a low carbon future. Our presenter, Francis Atta Sapong. Dr. Inview, if you are ready, we are ready for you.
Okay, Dr. Michael, good evening to you. And
pleasant evening to you as well.
I'm already sweating here, but
yeah, you need to. Very necessary.
You're surely going to sail through. So, okay, let me share my screen.
So I'll plead that you kindly make it very brief for us because of our time.
Oh, okay, sure, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Please, can I share my screen? Okay, so good evening once again. Good evening once again to the chairman, the honorable panelists, and all news members, as well to my colleague presenters. And for tonight, I'm very thrilled to share with you a vision for sustainable future in sub-Saharan Africa. And this is towards Africa's energy sector. In this paper, I'm going to critically delve into the intersection of sustainable development, which is the theme of this whole conference this year. Again, I'm also going to talk a bit about FDI, which we all the presenters have aforementioned, and I believe in talking about this, we can fairly understand how Africa could also enhance upon our sustainability. And in doing so, I believe now African countries are in a race to a low carbon future. And this can be done through energy transition. So that is basically what I want to talk about or share with you tonight. So that's just it. So my topic, once again, sustainability spark. How can we eliminate sub-Saharan Africa's energy landscape with environmental responsible FDIs in the race to a low carbon future? So in the first place, this is a question I want to ask. How can we eliminate sub-Saharan African countries' energy landscape? How can we do that? And in this picture, we could see there's a bulb there which is representing the energy sector. And with this, how can we brighten or how can we switch on the green aspect of the whole energy landscape? And we believe that energy plays a very critical role in terms of productivity of any country, being it developed or developing country. So yes, as Africans are also engaging in this productivity, there's also a need to look at other aspects of it. So yes, we need to strategically deploy not any FDI or any foreign aids or not any foreign investment, but rather investment that is quite green, investment that is environmentally friendly, investment that is environmentally conscious so that it could also improve upon our overall productivity. Yeah, so that's the first question. And this is my outline for the representation, right from my introduction through to conclusions and our offer recommendations. So Africa, in all, we are faced with, heightened vulnerabilities, right? We are faced with several climate problems such as droughts, flooding, etc., fire outbreaks here and there each and every time. However, in terms of this, sometimes foreign investors also come in to offer help so that we can at least we can put in countermeasures, or maybe we can help in terms of improving our lives after these disasters happen. And in doing so, sometimes if we are not careful, the kind of investors that we attract will be investors who are profit-driven. They are just there to make money, and they do not consider, or they do not look at whether this investment that we are engaging in could help in terms of the improving upon the corporate environmental and social responsibilities of the country. So yes, there's a need that as we are looking at the investment that are coming in, we try to look at not just any investment at all, but rather we look at responsible ones which could benefit we African countries. And in recent years, there have been growing emphasis on how FDI affects green productivity in sub-Saharan Africa, driven by concerns over climate change and carbon emission, because now, yes, Africans are also gradually picking up the pace with other developing countries and other developed countries. So we're also engaging in productivity, but as we're doing it, yes, this comes with these inherent problems such as carbon emission. And since now there have been a call for most countries to reduce their carbon emission, then perhaps we should also look at that. So with the increasing environmental awareness, eco-friendly FDI or environmentally friendly FDI emerged as a driver of sustainable progress, and this has been conducted by people, some authors who also mentioned this. So as identified by researchers such as Pan and also Liu Song Ken, they indicated that green productivity, which by green productivity, they means that the efficiency of the resources used in a particular country. So if a country is engaged in green productivity, that means that the resources that they are used and the resources, this comprises the labor, the capital, and the energy use, if as against the output, which is the GDP, right? And with this, the GDP is a desirable output, and we also have inherent undesirable outputs such as carbon emission. So as countries are engaging in productivity, there is a need to look at this aspect, which is now, let's focus on building a green economy, which could accommodate our economic growth and also reduce our environmental pollution, can reduce environmental pollution. Hence, elevating green productivity is a very critical path for sub-Saharan Africans to foster environmental friendly societies, okay? Okay, so despite a rising interest in eco-friendly and its potential advantages, there exists a void in literature, because with the studies that I reviewed, I realized that some of the studies, they investigated how foreign direct investment impacts conventional productivity. And with this conventional productivity, they were just looking at maybe how it influences maybe economic growth, whether this foreign investment, when they come in, does it influence economic growth? Does it just improve the lives of people? They were just looking at that, whether it improve human capital, maybe education. That was just what they were doing. They did not really critically examine the green aspect of it, of this investment that comes in. So yes, there's a need for such a study which could perhaps critically examine whether FDI, aside it just being an FDI, whether FDI, which is environmental conscious, improves the green productivity of a particular country. Later on in the presentation, I'm going to give you an outline of how I measured sub-Saharan African countries' green productivity. And furthermore, scholarly attention have been paid to focus on elevating impact. So some of the studies that I just mentioned, and with some of the findings that I also got was that there appears to be contention in literature. As far as some studies are suggesting that FDI positively improves green productivity, others also are saying that no, it negatively affects green productivity. So whether it's then, well, maybe there's much confusion here. Maybe we have to do more studies to see. And again, I realized that there were also limited studies which were focusing on the energy sector. And I believe that this study could bridge the existing gap by examining how environmental responsible FDI could influence energy sector green productivity in sub-Saharan Africa. So theoretically, I can just start the study without maybe consulting what has already been said by other theorists, right? So one of the key theories that's governing this study is resource-based view. And with this is basically looking at a particular organization's internal elements, such as how capable they are, how is the organizational processes in all the information, knowledge, or etc., how firms are operating in the energy sector. So we believe that this theory offers valuable insights into understanding the sustainable competitive advantage of the internal resources and capabilities. And this theory also helps in terms of utilizing the unique resources of sub-Saharan African countries. Yes, the resources that we have them in abundance, but as we have them, if we do not use them effectively and efficiently, then perhaps they are not going to benefit us one way or the other. So this theory gives us more understanding or deeper understanding of how to use resources properly and efficiently and effectively as well. So we have studies which also affirm this. Again, another theory that also governed this study was the cleaner production hypothesis, which also posits that entry or investment of multinational companies into a country can lead to improvement of the local rather than deterioration. So if investments are coming into a particular country, then those investments shouldn't just come to, or the people behind the investment shouldn't just come in to make profit, but rather after the investment comes, they should also help in terms of improving the environment, right? Rather than deteriorating. We have such cases such as in Ghana, where we have investors who come in and they are engaging in businesses which in the long run is deteriorating our natural resources that we have. We have examples such as the galamsey, etc. So all of this, we believe that we should think. I know we have several thoughts which both academicians and practical people in the field are talking about this, and we also in the academic sector we could also we believe can add our voice to this. The resources in general encompasses elements such as capabilities, is similar to the resource-based view theory, and we believe that this theory could also help us understand what goes into production in terms of the energy sector and if investors are coming in, what is the motive behind, and if firms are operating, how are they operating? So this theory also helped in terms of understanding that. Now, empirical review, we realized that there have some studies that have been conducted, and these studies, most of them were conducted in Asia and some other developed countries. For Africa, or for Sub-Saharan Africa, there appear to be quite limited studies on it. So this could be another innovative study that could help us to better understand this phenomenon in general. So based on this, we have two main hypotheses that govern this study. The first one is whether environmental responsible FDI positively impacts green productivity within the energy sector among Sub-Saharan African countries, and again, whether the industry structure positively influence the effect of FDI on green productivity. So that's just it. So this is the conceptual framework that governs the whole study. So the study, the independent variable, which is the FDI, and with it we have two types of it. We have the FDI as a percentage of GDP, and this study, since I'm focusing on the environmentally responsible FDI, then perhaps I'm just not looking at just any FDI, but I'm looking at FDI that is geared towards renewable energy, which I believe is a good thing. And if these FDIs are there, then perhaps they could improve upon the green productivity of energy sector. How do I measure green productivity in this study? So I use data environment analysis, and specifically I use a MAM-QUIZ productivity index to measure the green productivity of the energy sector. So how is this done? So this is done by comparing the inputs against the outputs, which I earlier mentioned. So I'm talking about comparing the energy use, labor, and capital as against the outputs such as GDP, which is a desirable output, and non-desirable outputs such as carbon emission. And in the long run, we come up with if a particular country is the green productivity, the efficiency level, if it is closer to 1, that means that the country is doing well. And if it is less than getting closer to 0, then the country productivity is low. So that is just it. And so overall, I have two main moderators, which industry structure, I believe, could also influence the relationship that exists between environmental friendly FDI or FDI in general as against green productivity of the energy sector. And also, as part of robust check, I also use emission productivity to also moderate the relationship that exists between environmental friendly FDI and green productivity. I will later define the variables, so maybe that will give us more understanding or clearer understanding. Okay, so let's look at the model. So I adopted I adopted two main models, right? So I use a generalized method of moment, GMM, and phase effect to capture the evolving process of, because we are looking at productivity, which is quite evolving each and every time. Now countries are quite diverse, so you can't just use any model which is static or whatever, but rather it should have the dynamic capability to also capture all those dynamics that happen. So here with the main dependent variable is the green productivity, which represents green productivity in the energy sector of Sub-Saharan African countries. And the independent variable here is environmentally responsible FDI. And we also have several control variables. We have about 10 of them. And here we also have that is for model 1. Model 2, I included the moderator, which is, what was it? Industry structure. And then for model 3, I included, as a robust check, I included emission productivity. I just replaced that to test again the model to see if I'm going to get similar findings or not. So this is a variable, green productivity. What is green productivity here? We are looking at, we want to measure the environmental efficiency of a particular country. And with this, I'm looking at the energy sector. That is my focus. So I build an index through data envelopment analysis, which I earlier mentioned. And also the independent variables, first, environmental friendly FDI. And I've explained how I computed it. I've also explained where I got the data from and the predictive behavior. Let's go to the moderating variable. So the moderating variable, the industry structure, contributions from the energy sector to GDP, industry, and with the unit of measurement, that is industrial value as a percentage of GDP. That is in the energy sector. And emission productivity for here, I'm looking at efficiency of emission generated per unit output. And with this, this is how I measure the total energy use minus renewable energy as again divided by nuclear energy use. And this helps in terms of measuring emission productivity. These are some of the controllables: trade opinions, government expenditure, financial development, human capital, political stability, because FDI, for any foreign investor to come into a country, yes, the person will be motivated by certain things. If, okay, is your country open for import and export? Yes, so trade openness is a very key control variable here. The government expenditure, which sectors are the government targeting? Because if I want to put my money in the country, then I should know whether if I put my money in the energy sector, I'm going to get it back. If I'm not going to get it back, then perhaps as an investor, I'm not going to do that. So, yep, that is one of the major motivations that led to choosing this particular control variable. Again, we have political stability. If an investor wants to come into a country and there is no peace in there, each and every time there's frequent, instability, then perhaps the investor will tend to move to countries which he believes that if he puts the money in there, he's going to get it back. So these are some of the control variables that was adopted for this study. So now let's go to the main results of this study. The first hypothesis, which sought to investigate whether environmental responsibly FDI influence green productivity in the energy sector. So for the model one, okay. So for the model one, this was looking at this was conducted without control variables. I just ran a basic regression to see what is happening here, whether FDI influences green productivity. And with this, I realized that it was significant, right? So it indicates that environmental friendly FDI positively will improve green productivity in the energy sector. And I realized also that when I added control variables to the initial model, it also increased again. There was also a positive relationship that exists between environmental responsible FDI and green productivity. And you can see from the R square that without the control variables, the R square initially was 0.0, which is 50%. The variation could be explained, but it's significantly improved to 0.523, which is 52.3%. So that means that, yeah, perhaps these control variables also play a factor here. Then for model 3, this was conducted by replacing green productivity index with green technological efficiency. And what do we mean by green technological efficiency? So with this, we are looking at whether a particular country, in terms of the technological use that they are using, is it boosting the economy or not? So yes, when you are using the data development analysis, specifically MAMKI's productivity index, there's an output that you generate, you see, which is called green technology efficiency. So I just replaced that one with the original one to see if I'm going to get the same results. And the results was quite similar. With the last model, which is model 4, which was conducted using PhysIFET, I tried to change the model because I was using GMM. So now I just replaced with PhysIFET. And with this, I just wanted to control, because I was using several countries, I just wanted to control for country PhysIFET. I also wanted to control for year, because sometimes when you take a particular country, maybe the performance overall varies per time, right? So I also control for that to see if I'm going to get similar findings or not. And with that, I realized, yeah, the findings were almost the same. So yeah, this affirms that, yes, indeed, environmental responsibility FDI influence green productivity in terms of the 31 countries. All 4 models exhibit notable significance and contribute to understanding the factors influencing green productivity in the energy sector. Again, I also, for the hypothesis 2, which was looking at the moderating role of industry structure, I also had similar findings. And with this, the emission productivity, that is part of the robust checks, right? So I added the emission productivity as part of it to see if I'm going to get similar findings. Yes, and all the findings were heading towards the same direction, which indicated that yes, FDI, they were positive over here. So this is similar to the initial idea that I had over here. That is a predictive behavior, and it's almost same. Yeah, so that's just it. Now I also did additional robust checks, right? And with this now, I'm not looking at just the energy sector. I wanted to also look at primary sector, such as the agricultural sector, and also the service sector, such as which we call it as the tertiary sector. I wanted to also check to see if we hold everything constant and we try to test this model against these sectors, are we going to get similar findings? And with the findings that we got over here, we realize that for primary sector, that is agriculture sector, environmental friendly FDI negatively influenced their productivity. But for tertiary sector, it was same as the energy sector. So that was the differences or the variations that occurred over here. And yep. So yeah, that is just it for this one. Similarly, I also use the phase effects to also check to see if I can get similar findings, and indeed, it also gave me some similar findings. So this also affirmed the validity of the original results that we had for the main baseline model. Again, we also try to see if by conducting heterogeneity tests, right? So this one, we are looking at the variations in terms of the database. So if we are looking at a particular sector, maybe primary, secondary, which or maybe if you compare these two sectors together and run a model, are we going to get similar results or not? So yes, these were the findings that we got from it. Sake of time, I'm not going to go into the details. We also group the data in terms of low-income countries, middle-income countries, and also high-income countries. This was not just done by me. I based on recommendation from World Development Indicators, which categorize countries based on their income level. If a particular country capital income is heading towards maybe a particular range from thousands to 2,000s, or from 4,000s to maybe to 12,000, then that particular country can be classified as high income or middle income. So that's how it was done, and we ran the same model to see if you're going to get similar findings, and indeed, some of them were quite similar to the original one that we had. Again, we additionally conducted heterogeneity mechanisms. With this, we also grouped the countries, the database that we already had. We grouped countries that were involved in the study, 31 countries, into resource richness. So because for Africa, we have countries which are resource endowed, and some too not that much. So we try to distinguish between countries who have much resources against countries who do not have much resources, and we test the model to see if you're going to get it. And for countries which were resource endowed, there exists a positive relationship between environmental friendly FDI and green productivity. But for non-resource endowed, a negative relationship exists. Also, environmental policy. This helped us in terms of categorizing countries into countries with high institutional qualities as against countries with low institutional qualities. And with that, we also categorize countries based on this, and we use it to run the results again to see if you're going to get that. And yeah, lo and behold, some of the findings were quite similar. Again, we also address endogeneity issues here, because since we are dealing with FDI, it comes with its own inherent endogeneity problems. So perhaps, although we use GMM to address it partially, I also believe that using additional tests could also help us in terms of maybe gradually eliminating this endogeneity problem. So I adopted a 3-least-square model to solve this problem. And with this, the original data that I had first, I estimated, so for the first ER-FDI2, this is the proportion of FDI in the primary sector. ER-FDI3, this is proportion of FDI in the service sector. And we also shortened the period from 2015 because the data size is from 2010 to 2020. We also shortened the period from 2015 to 2015 using this data to also run about the model to see if you're going to get, it's going to help us in terms of solving endogeneity problem. And yes, this is the findings that we also got for here. Again, I also adopted another last one, which I just took 30% of ERFDI data to see if I can rerun the results to see if I'm going to, it's going to help me better understand the endogeneity problem. And having this in mind, I further used two main instrumental variables, which is population and urbanization. I didn't just choose them. These were governed by studies, Sprout studies, which I've done, and they believe that urbanization and population could be a significant instrumental variable that could help in terms of when you are conducting such studies. So we conducted this, and this was the findings that we got from it. So overall, I could say that this investigation offers significant insight into the relationship that exists between environmentally responsible FDI and green productivity within the energy sector, right? And again, looking at the industry structure and emission productivity, they all moderate the effect of environmental friendly FDI on green productivity. So yes, theoretically, this study contributes to the resource-based field theory by empirically validating this applicability, because we are not just looking at theory. Yeah, theory exists there, but sometimes how we can apply them is a problem, right? So yeah, how can we apply this theory in the energy sector? So we believe this theory, this study could further enhance understanding it by demonstrating the role of FDI in enhancing green productivity. We also believe that this also supports RBV's premise that firm-specific resources and capabilities can lead to sustainable competitive advantage, right? So if their resources are quite environmental friendly, or if this investment that comes in, investment that is geared towards ensuring that we are reducing carbon emission, this investment are geared towards that we are improving upon the old maybe technologies that we are using, which is is maybe using a lot of energy and in the long run causing greater carbon emission, and perhaps it could better help us in that angle. So yeah, these findings also indicate that there is also a notable interaction between ERFDI and the primary sector, which is agricultural sector. Believe that yes, agricultural sector could also benefit from this if investors target those areas, but not just investing there just like that, but they are also investing in technologies which we believe could enhance their productivity, or maybe perhaps invest in people who are in research which could also help us better adopt practices which could improve overall productivity. So yeah, not just the energy sector, the agriculture sector people could also benefit from it. Again, the tertiary sector people could also benefit from this study. Yeah, okay. Notably, I think I've mentioned this. Okay, so heterogeneity mechanisms review positive association between ERFDI energy efficiency in resource-rich countries, countries which are resource endowed, contrasting with the negative impacts in nations with low environmental policy stringency, that is low institutional qualities, because some of the countries we realize that the institutional quality over there was not that good. So yeah, we believe if there is an interaction between all of these sectors, then perhaps it could improve the overall productivity or green productivity of sub-Saharan African countries in general. So what are some of the policies recommendations? First and foremost, I would also recommend that policymakers should prioritize promoting industry-specific investment, which are incentives to capitalize on significant impact of industry structure on. Because this study, the second objective was to look at whether the industry structure also could moderate the relationship that exists between FDI, which is environmental friendly FDI, on green productivity. So yes, maybe perhaps policymakers could look at this and then think about how best they could maybe put in policies and stuff to help us better use this resource, the findings of this study. Government could also stimulate sustainable practices and technologies by offering target incentives to encourage environmentally responsible investment in crucial agricultural sector, because this study, I think part of it, I also look at agricultural sector, and I believe they could also benefit from this. And again, since majority of the countries were facing problems with institutional qualities, then perhaps the government or policymakers should also strengthen regulatory frameworks, implement stricter enforcement mechanisms, and also revising existing policies to align with international environmental standards. We could learn from countries, developed countries, or developing countries such as even China. They are doing well in that, although when you look at the other side, they have their own problem, but we could also better learn from them to enhance our understanding on this. Additionally, our study also highlights the positive moderating effect of emission productivity, right? In light of this, the government should prioritize investment in green technology, because I mentioned emission productivity as the efficiency of emission generated per output. So if you have technologies which could which are high, quite high, then perhaps they could help you in terms of in terms of in terms of improving the overall productivity of sub-Saharan African countries, not forgetting the energy sector and other sectors such as the secondary sector and the tertiary sectors. Okay, so yeah, that's just it. Thank you very much. I'm done. Dr. Jeffrey,
yes, please, I'm right here. Thank you so much. I was going to give the panelists the chance to fire you because you lapsed your time, but that's fine. That's fine. Prof. Apia, in a minute, please, your comment. Prof. Apia, please, are you there? A minute,
yeah.
A comment, please. Comment in just a minute, please, because of our time.
All right. Okay. I have so much concern about the use of dynamic GMM, because in the situations like this, I think we need to have a robust method for that. And the use of 3SLS as a robust method, I think it needs to be reconsidered, because robustness basically look at applying different methods, and the method that you apply should be more robust or more technically stronger than the main regression method. So if you are using dynamic GMM and later you employ 3SLS as a robustness, I think for me as a reviewer, I can have issues with such robust results, because 3SLS is no way robust than dynamic GMM. But in most cases, with such an elaborative work like this, it is better that you employ system GMM. I think you're a finance and economics student, and you may understand what I'm talking about. So you may look at using system GMM, the two-step system GMM. I think it's robust enough. Yes, more than the dynamic. And if you want to apply any robustness method, I think you should go for a method that is more stronger than the main regression method. So we don't have much time. I love your presentation, the application of the variables and all these things. It's nice. You are technically in my area, so I have so much interest in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Dr. Edujemfi, please, if you're there. Doc, please, are you there? Okay, Dr. Ho, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Okay. Since we don't have much time, I think these are just comments for Honorable Francis. Okay. So even though this is actually not my sword, there are some key things I would like to highlight. In relation to your presentation, you know, normally when we are presenting in this format, you should understand that there are some, for the purpose of knowledge or for knowledge education purposes, there are some participants here who are not quite familiar with certain concepts, especially in conferences like this. So when introducing some of these concepts, at a point, I realized that hypothesis just popped up without we not knowing what the studies hypotheses are and how they are linked to the studies theories. Again, there may be someone here who basically does not understand what an environmentally responsible FDI is. So you could have easily explained, because there are some, what do we call it? There are some participants here who have basic knowledge in research. So some of these things could just be highlighted briefly or touched upon before proceeding. Again, regarding the 31 sub-Saharan African countries selected for the study, we actually do not know what the countries are. I don't know if you mentioned them anywhere in your slides. And so sometimes when it comes to looking at some of these things, or the output or your results, and then liaising them to whatever you presented to us, it's quite a bit misleading and quite difficult to follow sometimes. Again, I agree, you bear with me that correlation doesn't always mean causality, right? Hello.
Yeah, hello,
okay,
Doc.
so how did you, in most of the cases, I see you were mentioning R2, in this case, coefficient of determinant. You stated they were significant, they were this, they were that. Within the context of this study, I don't really know what threshold or ranges that you used in determining some of these things, as whether they are moderate, whether they are significant, whether they are that. They were quite missing. So I think there are some other ones. Because of time, I cannot really go into them. But it is just for your attention and for your notice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. For so Dr. In view, I believe that do we have Dr. Edu JP around? Doc?
Yeah, I'm here. I could hear you
Also,
earlier, but you didn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Forgive me, I think you're loud and clear. Your mic was off. So please, you can shoot.
Okay, I'll give the short comment. That was a nice presentation. I side with Dr. Safo. Could have explained some of the the key terms in the topic, but I like the fact that he highlighted on the crucial role of environmentally responsible FDI in driving sustainable energy growth, more especially in Africa. But you should also consider the essential or prioritize the eco-friendly investments. In as much as you are looking at the FDI, you also have to look at the eco-friendly investment that will minimize environmental pollution and also promote green innovation or green productivity. Green productivity, since it's one of the key variables in the research. And also, it looks like in your research, Africa is jumping to, let me say, from the traditional energy system to the low carbon future. And this demand a lot of investment. It requires continuous investment in the renewable energy sources and then innovation with technologies. So you have to consider that it's not just one investor or two investors can be, it needs continuous investment. And also you need to highlight the energy poverty. That is, you need to address the issues of energy poverty and lack of great connectivity in many sub-Saharan African countries. So we have to bring those key issues so that anytime the investor comes, he knows that this is the kind of problem that we have, more especially in Africa and in Ghana. The lack of great connections in Ghana. I think these are the few comments that I'll give. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
So Dr. Ivio, I believe that you heard from the experts themselves. I think for Dr. Safo actually took the wind out of my sail. And to those of us who are probably in the natural sciences, who are probably not in the social sciences and were not understanding basically what was going on, please, this is a cue for us to continue coming, because we are going to have subsequent presenters who will be touching on our areas as well. Today, we're actually looking at health, technology, and then artificial. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you so much to our presenters. So yes, in your screen, we're going to have these other presenters in subsequent meetings. So please, you don't want to miss them. Also, we beg for the purposes of our certificate, we please plead with you that if you are in the chat box, kindly scan the QR codes and give us your names you want appearing on the certificate of attendance. If we have our chairman around, Professor Kluger Brown, we would like to take a comment from you for the presenters if you're around.
Yes, I'm around.
Awesome.
It's been a very interesting presentation so far. I think this, since this is the first day, it sets a very good tone for the subsequent ones. I had wanted to give some few comments on the presentation, but I think the panelists have said it all. But one thing that I would say for the last presenter, okay, is that normally when you are giving a presentation such as this, figures or charts are very important. So, for example, figures and charts will give us those not in these areas to understand some trend. Because you made mention of 31 African countries, I was expecting to see some graph to show each of these 31 countries carbon emission trend or FDI trend or something like that. That will be very useful in informing those listening to you. Apart from that, I think everything was good, and I hope that the subsequent presenters will follow suit and then also give us more knowledge in their various areas. So to the panelists I say, you've done very well. We wanted you guys to drill them, but it's okay. It's okay. They've had enough. And for the presenters themselves, you've heard all what they have said. So to improve your papers or your research is very important. So thank you and kudos to everyone.
Thank you so much, Chairman, Professor Kluger Brown. Yes, so I think I side with you 101%. Tomorrow, this is to the presenters. Please get ready for firing squad. We are going to drill you very well. The notion here is not to rubbish your work, but then to make it better so that it gets published in high impact journals, as the Chinese or wherever you want to take it would expect of you. So thank you so much, Prof. That was quite it. I'll quickly call on our National Secretary General, if she's here, Laurentia, to give us the announcement if she's around. So, Madam Laurentia, please, if you're around, we want to have the announcement. If she's not available, do we have anybody from the NEC or the LOC to help us with that?
Okay. Please, can I be heard?
Yes, please.
Okay, so basically the program continues tomorrow, God willing, and we want to encourage our people to join on time. Today we had some technical challenges due to the capacity of the Zoom account we used, but we are trying to work around it. So God willing, tomorrow we should have an account that can accommodate more than 100 people. So please don't be discouraged. Send the message forth to your friends who might have missed today's session because of the limitation on the Zoom account. Tomorrow we would have a bigger capacity, so everybody should be able to join. We'll communicate with you, and then you also disseminate to your friends. Again, on this Saturday, we're going to have a fundraising event. And I don't know, it is just ideal that we may make mention of it today, being the first day of our Afba program. So please, if you are here, you are not even a Ghanaian, you are also invited to be part of the fundraising session. But then the program, that is Afba and AEA, is for today to Friday. So thank you very much and hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Lady President. Patricia, for that. So I think we want to say a big thank you to all the audience who made it today, and to the panelists. I think Prof has already thanked us already, to our chairperson, to our guest speaker, to your very self for gracing this occasion. Of course, it would have been just another meeting without your presence. We hope to see you in your numbers again tomorrow as the program continues. It's running from now through to Saturday. You don't want to miss any of the sessions. I mean, this is your time to ask all your questions. Blast people you want to blast when they present. So we'd love to see you tomorrow. We'd love to see you the day after tomorrow, and then through to Saturday. Thank you so much. I've been your honorable host and MC for today. My name is Geoffrey, and I'll please call on the Secretary General to take us through the closing prayer. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.
Okay. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Okay, please, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we conclude today's session, we lift up our hearts in gratitude for the time we have spent together and the lessons we have learned. Father, we ask for your divine protection over all participants as we depart. May your guiding hand be upon us as we rest. Grant us peace and safety through the night. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
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 Thank you so much.